Yep. I'm going to show you how to make this flickering light from scratch. What you're going to need is a 4-foot T12 fluorescent light fixture. You can get them from Lowe's or Home Depot or anywhere else really, but this one came from Lowe's. That one came from Home Depot. You can get them for a little bit under $12, about $11 and something. So first thing I do is remove the screws off of this thing and remove the ballast from the inside of it, just because I'm not going to be using it as a fluorescent light fixture, and I do have ballast that goes bad in my hunt, so at least now I have a replacement ballast instead of buying a whole other light fixture. So first thing we're going to do is take this thing apart. So now we're just going to cut the wires to the power cord.
I will tell you that I have seen Jose with what he's made, and it is freaking phenomenal. So, but again,
then I'm going to cut the ends of these plugs off.
We're more than thankful to be able to do that and make that for you guys. So
be careful not to break them, because you will be reusing these.
Great guest with us tonight. We are happy to bring to you. We've got John McCoy from.
So there we go. We got those things all disconnected, and now we'll remove that screw here and take out the ballast.
Well, how about you?
And during this tutorial, I'm also watching the final episode of Hunter's Hangout. What you also need to do is carefully remove this retainer clip that holds on to the power cord. So you just need to grab hold of it in the end and kind of wiggle itself out. Be careful with that, because you will be reusing that. Well, we're done with this for now, so just put this off to the side. Next you'll need to get some fluorescent tube protectors. These are made out of plastic. Got little black plastic ends on them. You can get these at Home Depot and Lowe's. So pick those up, and then we'll cut these down to size. Okay, well, you need to cut down the plastic tube here, and measurement here is about 45 to 5/8 roughly, 45 and a half. So I need to cut that tubing. There's a little piece of it that got cut off, not much. But the way I do it is I just take a old knife and heat it up and just let it kind of cut through it like butter, and cut it that way. You may have a better way on doing it. That's just my way. So that's that. So you just need to cut that piece down. I had some 1x6 laying around, so these little black caps that are in the ends of those plastic tubes, just take it out, lay it on there, trace around it. So this little piece of wood is going to be going inside the tube. So you'll need two pieces of wood cut around about an inch thick roughly. So next I'm going to cut those out. Here I've got the circles cut out, and as you can see they don't fit inside. So what I have to do is sand down the edges to make it somewhat perfectly round to where it fits snugly inside. And something else that you need to do is on one end of it, you need to taper it down, because this thing has an angle on the end of it, because what you want this piece of wood to fit all the way inside of this. So now I'm just going to sand down all the edges until almost a perfect circle to where it will fit into that. Now, here you can see that I've angled down the edges of these things, and they do fit inside, and they do fit snug up inside of it. One of the things I use to do that with is I just flip the belt sander upside down to sand it, but that's kind of dangerous, but you can do whatever you want. Sanding it down around and sanding down the edges. Next you want to drill a 1/4 inch hole in the center of these things. So that was simple. Next you want to get a threaded rod, 1/4 inch threaded rod. I get this from Home Depot. Get it inside the electrical section. Be careful with it because it would have been fairly easy like I found out on this one. But 1/4 inch threaded rod, electrical section, and you'll need to cut this down. So you'll cut it down to about 47 7/8 roughly, as long as it's close to that, because it's got to fit inside the light fixture of where the bulbs actually connect to. So cut down 2 rods, about 47 7/8. You actually need to pick up some cool white LED light strips. As you can see here, at every 3 LEDs there's a cut point. So every 3 LEDs there's a cut point. So on that cut point right there, you can actually cut that strip. So what you do is you measure out about 43 inches from one end to the other, cut it right on that cut strip, and the first piece that you cut will already have the wires attached to it. On the second piece that you cut, you'll actually have to solder on 2 wires onto it. And so on the next piece, you'll see here, and hopefully, that where those 2 little copper ends are, you'll peel off the back of the tape here, and scrape off the glue off the back of it until you see a nice shiny copper surface, and you'll solder on a wire on each end of it. So you'll need those wires to connect to your controller. In order to connect the LED light strip to the threaded rod, what I use is I picked up some 1/2 inch to 3/8 clear tubing and cut it down in probably about 1/4 inch strips roughly, and I slide these over the whole thing, and then once I have, what I do is I put all of these down the strip first, and I put it roughly about every 3rd mark, cut mark roughly. That way there's no sagging on the rod. So here is what it looks like. So it keeps the sagging out, but you can use wire ties or whatever that you like, but I chose to use that because it's what I had laying around. Didn't have no wire ties laying around. So there's that. I have the other strip of light attached to the threaded rod. Now what you need to do is have 4 1/4 inch nuts. You put 1 1/4 inch nut on each end of this, and you'll place it about 2 inches apart from the end, just about. So here you can see it's almost 2 inches. You may have to adjust it a little bit, just in case you didn't cut the pipe just right, or whether or not you're using a different piece of wood. So next we'll put on the piece of wood and put it on inside the tube. We've got the threaded rod, the LED strip connected through the wood and got the cap on there. Put a 1/4 inch, about up by 1.25 inch washer. Stuck the nut on that end. What we've also done is we drilled another hole close to the edge for the wire to feed through. So you'll actually feed the wire through that hole, and I'll show you that. So here we threaded it through the piece of wood, or we put the wires to that second hole in the wood. We've got the cap on, we've got the washer on, nut on there. So basically this is done all except for tightening up the nuts. But what you want to be sure to do is, damn, what happened? Sorry about that. What you want to do is make sure you have almost equal distance on the ends of these things. So this is close enough, so I'm going to leave that alone. But if you did have to move it back and forth, then take out the caps, adjust the nuts on the side, so you can actually slide the actual rod either way it needs to go. So next what you need to do is paint the tube, and what I use is Krylon Fusion for plastics. This is white, and I just put a light coating on light fixture. So here you see one that I've already done on a different model of an LED that I experimented with. I'll hang these up, spray paint them white. Like I said, a light coat should do it. You really make it as heavy as really what you really want to, but it's just light coat, and just enough to where you can't see inside of it. And what's next? So we'll lengthen out the wires here. So we'll actually got to answer the phone. So what I was saying is you'll need to lengthen out these wires here. So I actually got some LED lighting wire. It's 4 strand, so I'll strip this down to be 2 pieces each, and I'll probably cut off maybe 2 feet, 3 feet of it, and connect it on these ends, strip off the other ends of it, and I'll do that for both light fixtures. Here we've added the extra wire, put heat shrink tubing over the connectors. So there's a heat shrink tubing.
I don't know, my very early 20s, I did a small hot house in the woods.
Like I said, about a 3-foot wire.
But other than that, no, I have never.
Well, besides the LED light strip being the neat thing inside this light fixture and painting them white, is the controller itself. And here you'll see this is the remote control. And maybe you can see it, maybe you can't, but there's a power switch, light switch, and just the brightness. You can actually adjust the brightness on a click of the button by 25, 50, 100%. And then it has a mode select and a speed select of the flashing of the controller. And this is the receiver of it, and this is what you'll connect up to your 12-volt power source and up to the LED light strips. And you need to make sure that you pay attention. Where is it? Can't focus. One side of it goes to the LEDs and one side of it goes to the power source. So on this particular lamp fixture, it already has 2 little holes that I'll be using to run this through. And so we'll keep this on the outside of it so your remote control can see it. And so we'll wire up that thing and we'll get the LED lights wired up, and then we'll start assembling this whole thing. Now your power cord that stick out of this thing, just pull off that little retainer clip, because you're going to need that. And
I've done a lot of pieces for private.
this is a 12-volt power supply. This one right here is 1 amp. 1 amp seems to draw these things pretty well. That's been on forever. So it holds up pretty good, but if you just want to be safe, use a 2 amp power supply. But like I said, 1 amp power supply, 12 volt, working pretty good. Haven't had any issues yet, but take your plug, put it in the hole, and then pull it through some, and take that little retainer clip and put it around the wire and punch it back through that hole there. So now we've got that pushed through, retainer clip in there, so it makes it hard for it to pull out. What you need now is a connector, and you'll connect that up to it, and then you'll connect up the other end to the power side of the wires. Here I've connected the wires with little screw-on connectors. I would suggest using butt splices or spade terminals, that way you can just pop them off if you ever had to work on it. Next thing I need to do is here in the ends is bend off a little tab so the wires can fit down inside after you mount it back to here. I still got to paint these tubes, but once you crease off these little holes for the wires to go down through here on each side, and put in the little clips back, and you actually position the 1/4 inch rod into the very top center, and it fits in there really snugly. And so down here, you come down here to the other end, and you'll have to, pry it a little bit to get it in there, but once they're in there, they're in there. So that's pretty much how you do the light.